You know, even now I wake up some nights thinking I can hear those boots again, that heavy, steady rhythm. Not rushing, not stomping, just that deliberate thud that tells you someone's already decided they're walking into your home and they're not leaving quietly. And all of it started over a single potted plant, a small patch of moonlight sage by the mailbox. What they didn't realize was that my wife, Era, the quiet mom who loved her iced tea, was a highly decorated special forces sniper, and they had just declared war on her retirement without even knowing it. My name's Jonah, and we moved to the picture-perfect suburb of Whisper Creek chasing something simple, peace, stability, after years of my own time in the reserves and Era's deployments overseas. We wanted slow mornings, coffee on the porch, neighbors who waved and kept walking. Our son Leo was happy as long as the Wi-Fi reached his room. That little sage plant was Era's marker, her quiet way of saying we were finally home. A week later, the first letter showed up, slipped under the door with unsettling precision. No stamp, just a cold notice of non-compliance for unauthorized ornamental flora. I laughed it off, thought it had to be a joke. Era didn't laugh. She taped it to the fridge and said, "They're serious, Jonah. This is probing, they're testing boundaries." She knew exactly what she was talking about. Then Beverly showed up, the HOA president, beige polo, clipboard in hand, permanent look of disapproval. She appeared one morning and actually raised her hand like a traffic cop when I tried to respond. The sage creates visual inconsistency and attracts unapproved pollinators. The board has already ruled. Era gave her that slow, predatory smile and stepped forward. "Well, Beverly," she said, voice calm but sharp, "you tell your board my definition of inconsistency doesn't include something that smells good. And if they want a meeting, they can send someone who isn't wearing a standard issue superiority complex." Beverly flushed, spun around, and walked off like she'd just delivered a sentence. After that, the letters escalated, photos, fines, and eventually a bright red sticker slapped on our door, "Final review." That night, Era pulled out the heavy black rifle case from the basement. She didn't open it, just stared at it. That's when it hit me. I'd been pretending this wasn't serious, too busy convincing myself it was just neighborhood drama. But Era had already shifted gears. The drill started that same night. Leo hated it, crawling through the backyard with a pool noodle, doing sweeps and perimeter checks. "This isn't normal, Mom," he yelled, frustrated and covered in dirt. Era didn't even look at him. She just pointed and said, "Neither is surveillance, Leo. You prepare for what isn't normal." It hurt watching her pull him into that world, but she understood something I didn't yet. Then it happened. The street went quiet, too quiet. The lights flickered out one by one, and then came those boots. 3 sets, heavy and confident, walking straight into our yard like they owned it. We were crouched inside, watching. "They're not professionals," Era whispered. "Uniforms are too clean, movements too stiff. They're trying to look dangerous." But one of them, the guy near the door, was checking angles, preparing for a forced entry. They were ready to come in hard. I tried to stop her as she moved for her gear. "Era, call the police." She turned to me, eyes locked into that cold, focused calm I hadn't seen in years. "If you're going to stop me, Jonah, pick a better moment than the one where they're about to breach your son's home." I stepped aside. I knew I had no argument left. The lead guy, big build, blank expression, stepped forward and said flatly, "You are in active violation. We're here to initiate final compliance procedures." Era walked right past me and stood in front of them. "Final procedures," she said, tilting her head slightly. "That's a lot of theater for someone wearing fake patches and discount sunglasses." She saw it immediately, they were trying to corner her. Then she moved. One step back, gone into the hedges. The sprinklers erupted, but instead of water, a thick white cloud of chalk powder blasted into the air. She'd modified the system. The men stumbled, coughing and blinded. Before I could even process it, she dropped from a tree branch, took one guy down, tossed another, and had him zip-tied in seconds. Leo whispered, "Mom," she didn't slow down. She walked straight up to the leader, who was still choking in the dust, and calmly pulled the clipboard from his grip. It wasn't a compliance checklist. It was an intel brief, satellite images, our daily routines, our schedules, and at the bottom, written in bold black marker, Phase 3, Asset Recovery. This was never about fines. We were targets. And Era knew this was just the recon team. We didn't sleep that night. Era went straight into the HOA server and tore through everything Beverly had been hiding. A shell company called Sentinel Grove, funneling HOA dues into tactical gear and hired crews. Budget plans labeled as expanded security oversight. Records of forced removals, disguised with sterile codes like RR-09 and property secured by noon. Beverly wasn't just running an HOA, she was running an operation, testing how far she could push control before someone pushed back. The next morning, a drone appeared, sleek, black, military style, hovering over our house while Beverly hosted a smiling, fake-friendly barbecue across the street. It tracked movement, monitored signals. And when a smaller drone suddenly darted in close, fast and precise, I knew whatever came next wasn't going to be subtle anymore. As the smaller drone dipped in for a closer pass, Era didn't hesitate, she grabbed Leo's garden rake and moved. One clean, precise swing, and the drone snapped out of the air, crumpling straight into the rose bushes. The larger drone pulled back instantly. "They're calculating now," Era muttered under her breath. "Watching to see who stands with us." After that, the drills intensified. The backyard turned into a full obstacle course, balance beams stretched over the koi pond, timed routes, constant movement. Leo finally cracked, yelling, "You're acting like this is your war zone again, but this is my backyard." Era stopped, her tone calm but unshakable. "I'm doing this, Leo, because I don't want the first time you have to fight to be the last. This isn't normal anymore." And this time, he understood. Then at 2:41 a.m., the sensor light shifted to red. No alarms, just the low mechanical hum of a suppressed vehicle and the sudden glare of mobile floodlights. 5 figures stepped out, black vests, black visors. This wasn't intimidation anymore. This was a raid. The doorbell rang once, sharp and controlled. Era didn't answer. The chalk sprinklers detonated. A second later, she dropped from the roof, deploying a flashbang rigged with marbles, followed by thick, rolling fog pouring out of a modified garden gnome. Chaos hit instantly. I grabbed the back hose and blasted one of them with compressed air. And Leo, quiet, observant Leo, stepped up. He threw his modified tennis ball, packed with glitter and strobe lights, straight under Beverly's mobile speaker system. It went off with a burst, cutting her broadcast mid-command. Era fired a flare into the sky, 3 sharp whistles followed. Around us, windows creaked open, porch lights flicked on, and neighbors stepped out just in time to see the so-called enforcement team slipping, coughing, and face-planting into flower beds. The illusion shattered. Without control of the narrative, they had nothing. The team retreated, humiliated, exposed in full view of the neighborhood. But Beverly wasn't finished. By morning, she'd already sent out an email to the entire block, spinning the whole thing as a scheduled emergency simulation. And people believed it. Doors closed. Eyes turned away. Even the Jenkins returned our casserole dish unwashed, like they didn't want to be associated with us. That's when it clicked for me, this wasn't about territory anymore. It was about control of the story. So we turned the living room into a command center. Era ran 2 laptops at once and said, "Narrative dominance equals psychological superiority. We take the truth back." We uploaded the raw footage, clean, stabilized, paired with Era's calm, factual voice explaining exactly what happened. It spread fast. When Beverly tried to counter, we dropped a second release, HOA payment records, the shell company documents, everything laid out clearly. The pressure hit instantly. Beverly stepped down temporarily, and a special vote was scheduled. For a moment, it felt like we'd finally broken through. Then, on a quiet Tuesday afternoon, there was a soft knock at the door. I opened it, and there she was, Beverly, no blazer this time, just a simple gray sweater and that unsettling, polite smile. "I just want to talk," she said. Era was already beside me, silent and steady. Beverly nodded slightly. "You disrupted the system. Efficient. Strategic. That's exactly what this community needs." She stepped closer. "I'm offering you a position." I felt my chest tighten. "You want me to work for you?" Era asked, her voice flat and unreadable. Beverly gave a small shrug. "The structure matters more than the face behind it." Then she turned and started walking away, tossing one last line over her shoulder. "Power always finds its way home." Era locked the door without a word. We didn't celebrate. We walked the perimeter, checked every sensor, and rewrote our plan. Because now I finally understood what Era had known from the start: power doesn't always arrive with force. Sometimes it comes quietly, with a smile and an offer. The fight wasn't over. It had just shifted. So if you were in Era's position, what would you do? Take the deal and protect your family from the inside, or stay on the outside and keep resisting? I want to hear your thoughts. Where do you draw the line between control and balance?